I really wanted to start drawing there, but they were starting in basic design, which meant that they weren't really that interested in drawing. Drawing had already begun to be on the decline. And then a tutor came to the college called Gerald Harding, who was passionate about drawing. And we sort of hit it off in an odd way. I mean, quite antagonistic in a way. I was rebellious against him. And he told me that I should be careful of my facility and beware of it, rather. And he made me draw at arm's length, and I became immersed in drawing. And he encouraged me. Sometimes I was the only person in the life class, you know. He was somebody that I didn't know that I admired so much, but I did. And a lot of things stayed with me 60 years, you know. He remains an inspiration.
It wasn't a question of nipping along there and just doing a quick, while he could do a sketch of you and then develop it. You had to go and stand in the bloody river every morning while Gerald sort of struggled to get that line, you know. I mean, if anything sucked Gerald up, it was no pain, no gain. At that time, if you applied for the Prix de Rome, there was always a religious subject. And I've got a feeling that Susanna and the Elders was the subject that year which Gerald applied for. And although he didn't win the Prix de Rome, the Royal College gave him their major traveller, which I think was worth even more than the Prix de Rome. But he deserved it, and the staff at the college recognised his unique ability. Carol Waite and Rodrigo and people like that, who were all on the staff at that time. Ruskin Spear, Robert Bueller, Rodrigo Moynihan, Carol Waite, they were all the staff, and they all recognised Gerald's particular talent, didn't they?
Yes, they did. I know Carol Waite particularly admired his work.
Yeah, he did.
Everything that he did was hard won. He never made much money, and so occasionally I would buy works from him. He loved James Ensor paintings, and it was reflected a little bit in his work. He also had a sort of dark sense of humour. So, I mean, the painting of Purcell washes whiter, for instance, with a skull, you know, one pale skull and one darker one. I looked at a painting of hers, which she uses greens and she paints in her greenhouse. You know, she's a wonderful artist. And I said, "What is that green you have there, Owen?" And she said, "That's Harding's sap green." And the name Harding resonated with Gerald, of course. And I said to her, "Did you by any chance know someone called Gerald Harding?" And she sort of gave a start, you know, and she said, "Gerald Harding. If it wasn't for Gerald Harding, I wouldn't be painting today."
I was thrown in the Royal College of Art with a lot of what seemed brilliant students, you know, from my little provincial art school, and I floundered. Once a month there was a sketch club with a criticism done by a member of staff, and this is actually due to the perspicacity of a fellow student in my year, because we were wandering around looking at all the paintings, and she said, "Oh, I really like that one." I looked at it, and for some reason it struck a chord, and I thought, I think that's the way I could work. It was the way he drew. He had a concentrated way of a sort of purpley line. I remember him doing it and watching him very carefully. And I took a step forward. It was a lifeline. And so it's gone on. And every time I draw a thing in, because I like drawing and it tends to be fairly linear, I draw with the paint now. I've developed on 50 years on. I still think, thank God for Gerald. There are funny, lucky things that happen, aren't there?
Yes.
Just odd people that you meet in life that for some reason make all the difference.
It's true. It's absolutely true.
To him, the line was everything, really. The notion of a single line conveying volume and weight without any tone in it, it's just the line. It was something that captivated me, and it was Gerald that put that there. I think it was probably there, but he brought it to my attention, and he made an enormous difference to me.